Shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome everyone to Race Matters, the safe place to have hard conversation. We talk about matters of race because race matters. And so we thank you for joining us this evening. It is a great day to be alive and well. We hope that you enjoyed your holiday season, Thanksgiving last week. And of course, you know, that's a loaded word, a loaded holiday. So we might, maybe we'll talk about that on another episode of Race Matters, just because those of us who have an understanding of what really took place when
Mm-hmm.
thanks was being given.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we'll break that down. Maybe we'll have a holiday show. What do you ladies think about having a show discussing the different holidays that we have in America that
The
should
split, the
really be
split
Hmm.
view,
that?
the split view of the holidays.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
good
Because
topic.
we have several of them.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
boy,
So
Very
yeah, I think
loaded, right?
that would be a good show.
Mm-hmm.
And
that
because you
would
know
be real
some
good.
people don't know the history.
They don't.
You know, they just think, oh yeah, you know, family gathering, let's have some good food, and you know, and the pilgrims, you know, they paved the way, and yay.
They don't think of the other people that see it
Yeah,
different.
yeah. So
Mhm.
okay, so we are
Yeah.
agreed.
Yes, let's do that.
Oh, so ladies and gentlemen, again, this is Race Matters, and it's a safe place to have the hard conversation. I am Sharon, one of the hosts of the show, and I am blessed to have two wonderful co-hosts of different ethnicities because we wanted to create, you know, a rainbow, if you will, of opinions based on, you know, our walks of life. And
Hmm.
so, and I, you know, do would like to say that we do a good job of it here on Race Matters because
Yes, we
even
do.
if we differ in opinion, we do it in love. And so that's why it's the safe place to have the hard conversation because we do it in love. It's not a matter of because we disagree. It's a matter of how we disagree and how can we learn from one another based on our experiences, our collective experiences, our individual experiences, what we know, and the heart that we have, you know, compassion and
Yeah.
understanding that we have for other people, even if we haven't walked in their shoes,
Hmm.
right? So we have that type of conversation. So we join you. I mean, we would hope that you would join us to have that conversation as well and to be open to the conversation because it's in our closedness why we stay divided. Right. And so if we open
Yes.
ourselves up to other viewpoints, other experiences, just even in the sharing, not that you have to actually go and do, that would be nice too. But the first step is just opening your mind to hearing, you know, something that someone else has to say and hearing a different experience as well as ourselves hearing your experience. And now we've learned from one another. And you know, it's hard to dislike someone you understand. I dislike you
Yes.
because I don't know you and your experience is different than mine. So I'm shutting you out because that's the typical indoctrination, right? But that's not what we do here. We want to hear all experiences. And when we come together, we can reason together, right? In love.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
all of our experiences are valid. That's the thing. I can't say that you didn't have that experience. That was absolutely your experience. But I also too have mine.
Mm.
So two things can be held at one time. So we hope that
Absolutely.
you will walk away with that message as we move forward with these conversations on race matters. And you learn from us, we learn from you. We put it all together, and we go in love, and we have a little bit more compassion for folks. And it's definitely needed today.
Right.
With what's going on in our society, so and you understand what I mean if you are living and breathing. Let's just say
Yeah,
that. Right?
absolutely. If
So
you don't, you're living under a rock.
that's right. That's right. So that's just I didn't really, you know, get into myself, but I just wanted to share that with you. And I'm going to throw it over to Mariana. Hey, Mariana, how are you
Hi.
today?
Good evening. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. I'm a little tired, but that's okay.
Yep. The start of a week. I'm
hmm
after a holiday. Yeah.
Recovering from
Yes.
last week, right?
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Mariana. I am a mental health therapist. Met Sharon in one of our classes that we took together, and just like connected over a lot of things that we both cared about when it comes to just like how much we care for people and wanting everyone to be treated equally.
Yeah.
And that we both think it's important to speak up, for those
Mhm.
who might not always find it as easy to speak for themselves. So here I am, during the space where we can have a lot of conversations about those
Absolutely.
topics. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Rosie?
Yes.
I'm
Hi,
sorry, Mariana.
guys.
Were you finished? I'm sorry.
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
Well,
Okay. What's going on, Rosie?
first of all, from us to you, happy holiday from all of us to you. So we wish you all a happy holiday. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and looking forward to a wonderful Christmas. And yeah, I joined the team. Of course, I've known Sharon for a long time. We go to church together, and I was on another show of hers. We talked a lot about politics and stuff, and it was
Hmm.
great. I enjoyed it. And then when she asked me to join Race Matters a while ago, I was nervous because I was going on a show with people that have degrees and stuff, and I was like, I'm a street person, I'm not a degree person. And that's what they said that's what we need somebody to look at the other side of this, because we can bring it from this aspect, but we need somebody that is living a lot of this stuff. And I'm not saying that they haven't lived it either, but to go around and and talk about life experiences that I had, and to join it with their team, and what they talked about, it really did gel it well. And a lot of people could relate, to what we were talking about when we brought the street side to the side that has education and is able to help us to learn about how to handle it, and even tell me, the things I was experiencing, how it related to me emotionally, and how your response is, dealing with racial issues and things like that, and how you respond. They really helped me to look at it another way too. So, because you only have the way you look at it. So what we're going to talk about today, so we might as well jump in it
Yeah.
today. Now, we had a lot going on with the holidays and stuff. So what we want to do to now, because we were off for a little while, we want to just talk about current events, things that are happening right now, and how you handle it, how people are handling it, and how you, even for me, how emotionally you feel
Mhm.
about the people that going through so many different things. Because I don't know about anybody else, but looking at the pain that people are going through, ooh, I feel it. I
Yeah.
feel it right now. Looking at the pain that people are going through, losing their jobs, n- not doing anything wrong,
Mhm.
but where we are today. And I personally was watching a show. Watch on YouTube, and I was watching the Kroger layoffs, and they were talking about their experiences working at Kroger, and how they're laying off, and the things that they're doing, and even how they're getting the phone calls, which are automated,
Mhm.
letting them know that the drivers, all of the Kroger drivers of a number of stores, won't have a job come February. And nobody even has the decency to just call them and talk to them, or bring them in a meeting and talk to them and let
Mhm.
them know what's going on. They're sending these robocalls that sounds just like a human.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you're not sure if it's a person talking to you or what, because it sounds so human.
Mhm.
But they're just telling. And the young lady I was watching, that she was so in shock of the
Mhm.
phone call.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
as I shared with the team before, how I was working at a company, and how they let me go, and how they handled me. And for 2 months I cried. I
Mhm.
Yeah.
cried. And I really think, Sharon, if I can say it like this, I think I felt that girl's pain in my pain.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
explaining that right.
Yeah, because you
Yeah,
relate
that's
to
true.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, like when the phone call hung up, because it was automated, they hang up immediately. And she was just like, and her
Left
face,
in shock.
and all of a sudden, all
Right.
of these tears were in my eyes, you know. And
Mhm.
I think now I can say I was actually feeling her pain because I
Right.
went through that.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
it's so sad to see so many people, and in this current environment that we are in, there
Mhm.
is no heart
Right.
in
Hmm.
the administration that is actually celebrating this type of stuff.
Mhm.
That's how I see it.
Right.
They
Yeah.
they're
They're
celebrating this,
inhumane.
and these corporations that see more of a benefit for getting rid of people and hiring
Mhm.
machines and stuff to do the job. Because if you all go on there and you look at the Kroger
Mhm.
firings, and the Kroger stores
Mhm.
that are closing, y'all need to go on there and really watch the whole
Mhm.
thing. Because if I could, I'd play it for you all, but it's so long. I If I
Right.
would let
Yeah.
Sharon play it, our show
Mhm.
would be over before the video.
Right. Yeah. And
It
there
would
was
it would
yeah,
actually, yeah.
because there were
And
things that were promised, so it's not the fact that like the store is like bankrupting or closing
yeah,
down.
yep,
The jobs like were promised to be here for a while. Local
Yeah.
like cities invested in them coming here. And
yes.
then they talked about how people were feeling betrayed by being
Mhm.
Hmm.
told, sort of
And they
the
were even given money to from the cities that they were
right,
opening up in. They were given money
to
to
Kroger.
to build the factories and do
Hmm.
everything they said they wanted to do in the factories to get it built, and then hire people. And within 2-3 years, the young lady was only with him for 4 years, and she was just completely shocked. And even another gentleman was talking about how, when you're close to retirement, how they start nitpicking.
Yep.
That's how I look at it.
Hmm.
Nitpicking. They
Hmm.
all of a sudden, you've been there all of these years. Now you're 1 year into retirement, and all of a sudden you're doing bad. You're
Right.
Hmm.
not meeting numbers. They're questioning
Hmm.
everything you do and stuff like that. And they're trying to get rid of you before you retire and get that pension.
Yep.
You
Right.
know, and those are different things that people have to deal with. That's discrimination straight right there with the
Hmm.
age.
Hmm.
But people don't know how to handle that. And I was
Right.
sharing with the young ladies
Yeah.
that even when I went through what I went through, I immediately said, I'm filing a discrimination case, because what's happening to me is not fair.
Hmm.
I'm with this company all of these years, and then all of a sudden, at the last minute, they want to do this to me. And they did a
Hmm.
number of things, put me out on a 6-month leave of absence, no pay, without pay,
Hmm.
unable to collect unemployment because I was
Hmm.
still on their payroll. So all of the stuff that was happening to me, I cried for 2 months straight,
Wow.
not comprehending properly
Hmm.
why a company that I had spent so many years with
Hmm.
Keep
can
giving,
treat me like trash and
keep
try to
giving your
throw
life
me
to
out.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're giving so much of your time to them, and then that's how they respond in the end. That must have been so
Mhm.
hard.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
and 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 just a quick reference, guys. If you feel that you're being discriminated
Mm.
against, I want to give you a word of advice,
Yeah,
because
I
I
wanted to ask you, Rose,
go
about
for it.
that. To share with our listeners the information you've learned about that
Well,
process.
the one thing that I learned, it was a very good lesson, but a lesson that went against me. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you all, so you don't fall into this. I had opened up a discrimination case with a law firm,
Mm-hmm.
and they a certain thing happened, and the attorneys, even though they were handling my case, they decided to go and handle this other situation that was happening, and they were there for almost a year and a half or so. By the time they got back to go ahead and proceed with my case, why let me rephrase let me rewind. While they were away, with over a year waiting for them, I decided, oh, let me go over here and file discrimination with EEOC and see if I have a case with
Mm-hmm.
against
Yeah.
this
Can,
company.
can you share what that
Well,
stands for, Rosie? Can you share what that stands for in EEOC?
equal employment opportunity.
Okay.
Okay, so when I went there, And I told them about what was happening. And they said, you clearly have a case. I said, good. Well, can we do something about it? No. And I was like, well, why not? Because you said I clearly have a case. If you feel that you're being discriminated against, you have 300. Now we have 365 days in a year. You have 364 days to file a case, file a claim against them. Because after a year, EEOC will not take the case.
Mhm.
Now, I'm hoping that changes, because it shouldn't matter how long you wait. Once you really understand that you're being discriminated against. But see, I think that's something with the government to keep that all of the EEOC cases from hitting them hard. Because if they only give you a year and you don't find out until a year and a half later, it's too late.
Mhm.
So is this a year from, say, like the last incident?
From the last incident, if you have an incident, and the last incident, and you feel that it is an EEOC complaint, the moment you say you're discriminating against me, you have to go over there and file that claim.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because at that point they told me, we would love to take your case, but we can't do anything because you've had this case open for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and you only
So
have to.
in your case, it wasn't necessarily that there wasn't an incident that was more recent. It was because the case you had open was more than a year prior to
Yes,
that.
the
With
case that I had open was more than a year. Now, of course, anything that happened after I opened the case was not going to be a new incident, because it was just going to be added to what I have. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Mhm.
you can't say, okay, I'm doing this, and oh, they just did this to me. Now I'm going to go to EEOC. They're going to say, no, that has to go with the case that's already open,
I see.
because that's
Mm-hmm.
probably retaliation and stuff. So your attorney has to deal. You already have that case with the attorney. Now the thing is, if you do with EEOC, you get 100% of whatever the lawsuit is. You don't have to pay attorneys or anything. So
Oh, wow, that's
understand that.
good to know.
Understand that. She said not only would you have won, you would have gotten 100% of the lawsuit that you would have gotten. If it was, say that it was uh $800,000, you would have gotten $800,000,
Mhm.
because that's what we do. We don't, our attorneys and stuff don't get anything out of your money, because what happens is, then after they get my money, then they penalize the companies that's discriminating, and that's how they make their money, by penalizing the companies.
Right. They get paid from the
So
company. Okay.
exactly. So please understand, if you feel that something is happening to you and you feel it's discriminatory, go straight over there and file the claim. You can still see an attorney after you open their case, but their case is, is the main case, and then they can tell you eventually, yeah, this is a good case, we can do it. Nah, or they'll say no. But you know,
Yeah.
yeah, this is stuff we need to know. And
Mhm.
sometimes my problem that I had, what filing late, gave me the information to tell other people, because I have a nephew that felt he was being discriminated against, and he went immediately,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
he won his settlement.
and
Good.
this is where the information can be like useful, because that's not something we ever are taught, right?
Right,
Mm-hmm.
In any
right,
setting.
right.
So it's so important sometimes for
Mhm.
people to like stand with each other and share
Yeah,
this information.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. That's what Race Matters is about, guys. We're here to help you,
Exactly.
help you. You
Yeah.
know.
So much out there, so much help is needed. And,
Mhm.
just like what, Mariana, how you just put it, I'm thinking in my mind, it's like the best kept secret. Like they don't want you to know,
Don't.
right? Because, the more information you have, the more educated you are, the more you can push back against the system,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And but okay, thank you for that information, Rosie. It's good information to know, because
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's definitely, we could have cases every day,
Mhm.
what, 100 deep, even more than that across the country.
And
Of
Sharon,
discrimination. It's not just racial discrimination, it's
mhm.
ageism, it's sexism, it's a whole
Age.
bunch of different things, right?
Yep. And the
And
one thing I wanted to say is, do even if you're afraid to go after them, do it afraid.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
Because see, I believe a lot of us that won't go out there and do it are afraid of the repercussions of what might
Mhm.
happen. Your people, you know, being mad at them or saying stuff about them and stuff like, you know, do it afraid.
Mm.
If
Or
you're
the
afraid,
job retaliating, because we know jobs do
all
that.
of it,
But
all of
then
it.
that becomes a part of the issue too. But you
Hmm.
still have to go through that process of
You
it
have
happening.
to. You
Yeah.
have to. You know,
Yeah.
don't sit
Hmm.
on your fear, but let yourself
Hmm.
get it done.
Which, like, the fear makes sense, right? Especially, and I'm thinking in a context like today where like laws are changing fast and people don't even know, right? Like, is this
Hmm.
going to be something or not? And it makes sense when you have a job or you have to feed your family.
Hmm.
That
Right.
like, it makes sense to feel that.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
and when possible, right? Like, there's still like power in numbers, and the
Yeah.
more like people will go and file, right? Like, and a lot of these companies we establish, right, they care about their money. So the
Right.
more they see that they have to like pay a lot of money for cases like that, they probably will be more stricter with like teaching people about how to treat others in the workplace.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it might not be out of a change of heart always, but even if it means that
Right.
money is what motivates them, it still
Hmm.
creates a different culture for other people in the future, right? It has to
Right.
be some lawsuits, people standing up for
Hmm.
them to like learn that that's not how you treat people.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
that's so good that you because like you what you said, you can teach them a different way, but that change of heart,
Hmm.
um some people they live that lifestyle. It's a part of who they are so much that I mean I was told by one person when I told them, you're a racist, right? And they were like, my kids don't think I am. And that just blew my mind because I'm thinking, how you gonna say your kid? You're talking about the children that you birthed, the ones that you gave life to. You would ask them if they think you're racist. They you're their mom. You're their dad. Of course they don't.
Or even if they
Unless
did, even if they did that, they're going to challenge you publicly, right?
Right. Right.
today's kids do. I
Some
mean,
of
I've
them
seen.
do. Some of them,
Girl,
yeah.
listen. I had my friend, a very good friend of mine. Her son, he told his dad straight to his face. You know what? You are such a racist. He told his dad straight to his face. And but it's like I don't get the mentality of it. Because they'll look at me. Well, I'm not a racist. I like her, dude. Come on, come
I
on.
know.
It's more than that, my dear friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You tolerate me. That's what you do. You
Right.
tolerate me. It's not that
Exactly.
I'm one of your favorite people, because when that person first met me, they said, "Oh my God, it's a black woman."
Mm.
Hmm.
And if
Those,
not for the
those were
wife,
the words.
if not for the wife, she was like, "Shut up, leave her alone. Don't you say nothing to her. I'll handle her." You know. But it's like, yeah, you tolerated me. You got to know me, and you got to have advantage with me because of what my skill was. So every time you needed help in a certain thing, you tell her, call your friend, and she'd call me. You know,
Hmm. So
so
basically, it sounded like he was using you.
I'm tolerated. I'm tolerated for him because whenever
Hmm.
he needed certain things done, he called me over. Now he did.
Exactly. You were
He
useful.
Yes, I was, but he did get to know me, and he got to know my family, and he did like them.
Hmm.
But my opinion is my family were palatable.
Hmm.
But
Right.
yeah, some people, it's
Don't be too strong in your ethnicity now.
Mhm.
don't listen,
Turn
listen,
it down, huh?
listen.
Right. Right.
Ooh, it'd be like, listen.
Hmm. Even that, right? When you're expected to behave a certain way, and then,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. And it's funny that you said that because his son, he was white. His son was white, and he was mixed, but it came up. This is how he said that. This is how it showed that I was palatable, or I was different. But his son wanted to watch. I think it was Boys in the Hood or something like that, one of those shows. So I was at their house. Okay, let's watch it. And he was watching, and his dad was like, see them people, see how they act, see how them people act. And I was like, yo, dude, I'm right here. Well, no,
Right.
you're different. I
Right.
said, no, I'm not. I said, we don't act like that.
Right.
I said, this is a show to make you all think that's how we act.
But
I
also,
said, this is
too,
show.
okay, there's bad apples in every bunch. Okay,
Every
some of us
bunch.
do act like that, but some white people act like that too,
Worse.
right? So there's good and bad in
Yeah.
every bunch.
But I
And
was
also, like, you know, one thing that like really made me understand this concept is how often when like a white person commits a crime in US or does something horrible, it's
Mhm.
not attached to their ethnicity, to their skin color,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
It's just reported as like an individual did this, and it's not
Mhm.
like they're not representing their group, right? They
Mhm.
just like represent themselves when they commit that. Whereas,
Right.
you know, when a minority, more often, right, especially an African American person, then it's often reported as if they're like a representation of the group.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've
Right.
seen that so many times where like
Mm.
the thing that always used to get me is like if a young African American, a young black man, I won't say black man for me, if a young black man did something, they pulled out all of these criminal looking pictures and how bad they were and how and it was like, oh, this person never had the power in their life and this and that, and they were just this, they pull out all the negative. But then when you
Mhm.
see a young white child, same age, possibly, might even be a little bit older, then the first thing they say, well, this person, they had a hard life and their father wasn't in their life and they've been struggling, and they pull the compassion part.
Yep.
Compassion. They want you to
Mhm.
give compassion to this young person
Mhm.
and say, we don't want him to ruin his life, and he's got a bright
Mhm.
future ahead. So did that young black kid. The
Absolutely.
Mhm.
situation that happened with them,
Mhm.
it might not have even been as bad,
Mhm.
because
Yep.
I
Mhm.
watched this one. The young
Mhm.
kid was arrested
Mhm.
because they said he stole a backpack,
Yep. Yeah.
and the time that he got for that backpack, when he was finally released from prison, he committed suicide.
Mhm.
You
Yeah, I
know,
remember that. We reported on that
we
with
did.
the last iteration of Race Matters in what, 2022?
I
I
think it
remember
was.
that.
Yeah,
That was so sad. That
it
was
was
so sad.
sad.
Yeah.
That was so sad. And he wasn't even guilty.
He wasn't guilty. It was his backpack.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And he was only
Remember
what,
the remember
16,
the
15 or 16.
yeah, he was young. Remember
Mhm.
uh the story we reported on back in 2022 with the I might not be getting all of it right, but I'm sure you guys remember. I think his name was Brett. He was a college student and he was accused of ape with an R in front of it, graping, right?
Mhm.
A young lady,
Yeah.
and actually someone witnessed it.
Mm-hmm.
They came upon the scene, right, and helped out. He, oh my gosh, this was the judge. I
Didn't want
think
to
he was
ruin his
like
career.
6 months, right? He says, oh, but he had a bright future, just like you talking about, in front
Mm-hmm.
of him, and on he's actually violated this woman, and
Mhm.
he was caught in the act.
Yep. That's
Yeah,
why I
and, you
said
know,
it.
speaking of that messaging, like I've seen a lot of reports around this too, where so this also goes a little bit beyond, like I suppose, like racial discrimination to include like sexism as well. But we hear stories as well, right, of like the messaging around, right, like, and language is very powerful, right? How the language we use definitely has consequences, right? So, like one situation where it came up, for example, right, was like a young of like a group of men. I'm not gonna say too many details about their political affiliation, but a lot of these were actually some congressmen and just like had positions of power, and they're like all in their like late 20s and early 30s, right? So when their group messages were released where they were like saying a lot of awful like racist comments, and just like a lot of like really, really bad things that they were saying in those messages was released to the media. A lot of the messages, it was like, well, they're so young, these young men, right? The young boys. Yeah, the wording was used, young boys. They're still young boys and they do this and that. Whereas like when, a lot of the same, newspapers and media, when they talk about even the woman on like Epstein's files, right? The minors that were abused, they're like 13-year-old women or 14-year-old women, right? So like
right.
the men.
How about girl?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Children, girls. So like that's sort of how it works, right? The men in their 30s, when they commit something awful, they're young boys. But a woman who's been raped and victimized is, when a girl is victimized, she's a woman, right? At the age of 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
And the one where I was talking about before, you mentioned that one, Mariana, the father, when he was asked to share, he said, "Oh, boys will be boys."
Boys, yep.
So is this how you raised your boy to be? Because that's telling, father saying this, and your son just sexually violated a woman and was caught in the act. Boys will be boys. So is this how you behave? And this is how you taught your son to behave? Because that doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, man, there's so many examples.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That we could pull out. There was one recent, and I can't remember now, but similar to the one that I was just talking about, where got off light for a serious violation, but he wasn't a person of color. So there's privileges.
Yeah.
You're not a person of color.
And when you talk about the disparities, I was looking at one of the cases where it was a young white man. He was, well, they're going to say boy or kid, but he was 17. And then a young black man, they were both 17. And this happened in Lee County. They both robbed a store. Now, of course, Alan Peters got probation. Whereas the young black boy, Jaquavius Sturgis, he got 4 years. And
they committed the crime together.
Identical charges. They didn't do it together. They both did it separately.
The same crime. Okay.
But they had identical charges. Identical charges.
Yeah.
But the young white boy, 17-year-old, got probation. You don't want to ruin his career. He's young. He made a mistake. And we don't want to, make him suffer for the rest of his life over one mistake he made. Yet the other young man was just a hardened criminal, and he's going to get 4 years in prison. Completely ruined his life. So it's when you look at this stuff, it's just, but it's been a part of our society for too long. Yeah. And if not for social media, we wouldn't be able to talk about this right now.
Right.
And we wouldn't be able to see all of the examples. We know that they're there because we live it, people of color. But we're never believed because, that doesn't happen. You're just too emotional. And now, we have video proof, and then still aren't believed. Or well, he was high. He had drugs in his system. Does that discount how he was treated?
Right.
By law enforcement? No.
Yeah.
Just so many different ways that these things are dealt with when
race is put in it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we're here to talk about the hard things.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to say race, when ethnicity is put in it, because there is only one race.
Exactly, the human race.
But when the ethnicity part is like if I walk into a room, you see me.
Right.
When Mariana walks into a room, you see her.
Exactly.
Now, until Mariana opens her mouth, you would just, let's just face it, you'd think she was a white girl in America.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know she was a young lady from another country until you heard her accent. And at that point, you might look at her differently.
And I've seen that happen, right?
You know, once she opened her mouth, oh,
Where there's a different
foreigner.
response.
She's not from here. She's not one of us. Well, you ain't one of you because you ain't supposed to be here. I'm sorry,
Right.
Sharon. I'm sorry, Sharon.
And when we think about it, because we, however old we are, we're just thinking about ourselves, in the moment of time with what we experience, which is fine. But when we just trace the roots of our history, and not just say Black people, but the history of the country,
Yes,
right back to, and I don't want to say its inception, the inception of when it was invaded and taken over, right? It was built on racism. It was built on violence, right? It was built on criminality, the crimes that they committed against the natives, right? And then all of that. So it's like, why do we think it's going to be different now? Those same things exist, but now the people are blamed for it. Like, oh, America's not like that. America was founded in the new America, not the original America, right?
Right.
Founded on this. So you're doing the same thing. You've done the same thing. You put these oppressive laws and behaviors. You were the prime example of what's playing out and has played out in society. And you started it, but you're blaming the people.
And Sharon, the one thing that I always say, especially when in this country we talk about terrorist attacks and stuff, I always have said America was built on terrorism.
It was.
You mad at people for treating you the way you treated the people when you first, quote unquote, landed here.
That's right.
And called people who were humans, you called them savages. They were people. They were people that knew their land, lived off their land, and they helped you to learn how to live off their land too. You know what I'm saying?
Who were the real savages? You're the one.
There you have it.
Crimes against them.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of them were running fairly successful, like democracies here. That a lot of them were like peace with other people groups, and
But this country was founded on terrorism. So stop getting all bent out of shape when you see people from other country come and doing crazy things. That's how this country was built. So that's the backbone of this country, which is terroristic.
And we're all immigrants except for the Native Americans.
Every single one of us. And I don't consider Black people immigrants because we didn't come here violently.
Right. We didn't come here on our own volition.
We didn't come. We didn't say, let's go to the great new America and build the country. Nah, we were drug here. We were made to build this country without pay. So when you call Black people lazy, understand this country was built on our backs. So who was the lazy ones? It wasn't us. So it's a lot. It's a lot to.
The reality is, is quite. You talk about our mental health. The reality of what we have endured over time, generations.
And still doing it.
Yes, our mental health. I'm surprised we are as sound of sound mind as we are.
If anything, like in many cases, like thriving too.
And that's what's so offensive to certain people. It's not. I'm gonna take it back to the Bible. It's like when Pharaoh said, "You know what? We trying to keep these people in check, but they keep flourishing. Kill the babies, But the more you oppress us, the more we flourish." So I mean, a seed doesn't get roots and stuff until the seed dies. You plant a seed, the seed dies, then the roots break out. And that's what's happening. Every time you try to kill, every time you feel you've killed us, the roots dig in and we are more than you expect, and that's how it's always been.
And that's attributed to God.
That's it.
Because he protects us. That's right. And he sees us flourish in the hardest of times, in any hard times, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. It's a lot. But we are resilient.
Yes, we
So
are.
we are resilient.
And you know, we
Mhm.
are. This is an attribute to us. We're so forgiving.
Hmm.
I don't
That's the
care
God in us too.
what you
Yeah.
think about us.
Hmm.
We are compassionate. We help you. You try to pull out the negative side, but you forget to point out how compassionate and forgiving we are, and how we are always ready to
Hmm.
help somebody. Even
Absolutely.
if you've done us wrong, if we see somebody doing you wrong, we
Mhm.
coming.
Right. And that's been the part that to me has been so amazing, right? Because um, I've experienced nothing but a lot of like love and welcoming
Hmm.
from a lot of like people of color, and I do wonder that, right? Like sometimes I'm just like, okay, there's a mutual level of respect, but at the end of the day, it would make sense to, you know, be suspicious, right? To like,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
like I know it's like hard for me to like, trust people that have like wronged me in the past, and if you are like wrong
Hmm.
your people, right, like
Hmm.
another layer of that, um which, and I think at the end of the day, and I heard this from a lot of white people, is that they're afraid ultimately that one day their belief is like one day black people take over and do to them what they have.
Yes.
Payback. They think we're
Yeah.
going to pay them back.
And that's the furthest thing from our mind because that's not who we are.
But see, that's who. I'm sorry if I sound harsh in saying it, but that's who they are.
Right.
There
And that's
and
why they think
and
that
and
way.
and that's why you think we
It's a
will do
projection.
that.
Hmm.
A
And
Because if
projection.
we wanted to do it, it's not like,
we
we can't
listen,
get up in arms now. I mean, we're not slaves anymore like that. We can
listen.
get guns, but we can go indiscriminately killing people if we chose to.
Mhm.
But we
If
don't
we
want to do
wanted
that.
to do
And
that, we
population
would have
wise,
already
right?
done it.
There's a big number now. Like what's the U.S. population of African Americans? Like 13 million plus, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
That's a fairly big number, right?
Yep. So, but yeah, you're right. They're afraid of, black people doing the same thing to them as they did to us, and that's just not in our DNA.
It's not.
But that's what's created when you behave that way, right?
Yeah.
That's how your mentality uh,
Yeah.
is. So, but yeah, all of this is the browning of America.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of this is about, with the immigration, the browning
Mhm.
of America.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're right. They're going to become people of color will become the majority, and then we're going to be
Mhm.
the minority. Then what's going to happen to us?
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to live like the rest of us live. It's going to
Yeah.
be okay.
Listen, all we want
There's going
is
to be
just
some equity. That's all.
that's
That's
it.
okay.
We want to live well. We don't
Mhm.
we don't want to. You don't need to take care of us. We can take care of
Right.
ourselves. But if you don't stop taking stuff out of our
Mm-hmm.
mouths and out of
Hmm.
our pockets, and
Right.
then you get mad if you say we want a handout, but no, we don't want a handout. We want your hand out of our pockets. We want
Right.
your hand out of our cupboards. We want to
Hmm.
keep feeding and taking care of our family and stuff, just like you have
Right.
had the privilege to do for all of the since the inception of this country. We just want the
Hmm.
same thing.
Right. We don't want you to suffer so we can have. We just want to
Absolutely
all
not.
be able to have.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because
yes.
like, what is the response when, right? Like people who had power think they're even losing some of it. It's not even that they don't have as much power; they just lose some of the power they have,
Right.
and
Right.
they already feel very, targeted, and there's anger, right? So it's like, okay,
Hmm.
you also don't like it when you have some things that you believe are yours are taken away. So
Hmm.
that's a human reaction, right? If whatever is rightly yours, or sometimes not, even that
Hmm.
you think is taken away, most human beings will have a reaction to that.
Hmm.
Right.
Especially like you said, when you think our success is taken away from your success. Our success isn't. You still have your success. You just don't like that we're on the same level grounds. You don't
Hmm.
like the fact that I'm financially in a position where I can sue you just as quick as you sue me. And I can
Right.
hire the same attorneys that you hire and probably even better. But you don't like that because now we're on even ground. We're on stable
Hmm.
ground. We're equals. And that's the one thing. You don't
Right.
see us
They
as
don't
equals
want,
and you don't want that to happen.
nobody wants equality. I want to be
Mm-hmm.
superior to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing, the superiority.
Mhm.
It's like the mentality that breeds. It's and this is where it all stems from, white supremacy that was indoctrinated in
Mm-hmm.
the uh, into the country
Mm-hmm.
when they came over and
Yeah.
ripped the land from the Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
right there, all of that. I'm better than you, so I can take what you have and call it mine, and I'm justified. What is that? That's the devil. That
That's
is
the
the
whole
straight
devil.
up devil.
Hold that. And you see that it was a gentleman that was they were reporting on, who is, and we've heard this, but he's building a white city or a white town, and where it's just for white people because they don't want any other ethnicity in there, and it's collapsing already because they're saying you do realize like a lot of the stuff you buy comes from black people. So if you
Mhm.
don't want anything to do with black people, you cannot purchase the stuff that they've created and they've
Mhm.
all of that. And it's like what's wrong with y'all? What's wrong with
Yeah.
y'all?
And once in a while, sometimes I'm thinking, Rosie, well, let's, because they like to blame all these problems on other people. Sometimes maybe they need to be alone with themselves to see that the problem is.
Oh Lord. But see now then they'll be probably doing like Jane Elliott said, then you'll have the brown eyes not liking the green eyes in their town. Well, they're not smart because they got brown eyes. So
Yeah, that's
don't
exactly
you
what it
play
is.
with them brown eyed kids over there. They're not
Yeah.
intelligent. I mean, there's not going to be an end to your
Exactly.
hate.
There
Your
never is.
hate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to find something,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Well, before we close out, what do you guys think about this? Is, totally switching topics, but something you mentioned, Rosie, so I figure I just want to mention this. What do you think about the newly elected mayor of New York, Mamdani?
Hmm.
How do you think he's being received? How do you think he will fare? What's the skinny on how America, because even though it's New York, New York is a representation, right? Like California and New York. Yes, there's other ones, but you know what I'm saying. Those
Yes.
two states very large and have a lot of sway, if I could just
Hmm.
use it that way.
Pretty self-sufficient.
What's going on with that? What do you think? What do you guys think about it?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mariana. You can start off.
Well, just some of the few words, right, that I've seen being used in the media, right,
Hmm.
about him. So he's been called a terrorist sympathizer, civilizational threat, and a jihadist.
Okay.
Those are just a few of the words that have been used. He's received death threats, violent intimidation, and ultimately, like a lot of fear has been used, right, as a political tool that had nothing to do with. I mean, some people did go for his policies and whatnot, right? And even if it's called like socialism and what that means, which, like, I think when people address that, okay, go ahead. You share your concerns with his policies.
Hmm.
Hmm.
When his ethnicity and religious beliefs are being used as a target
Right.
towards who he is as a person, when we know that there's a lot of other Americans, right, who share the same beliefs and
Hmm.
that shares a very clear message, right,
Hmm.
for the
Hmm.
country is in terms of being welcoming to every people group, right,
Hmm.
and treating everyone equally.
Yeah.
And see, that's where the danger comes in, is when they stir up the hatred, they stir up the anger, because when you have a leader of the country that's saying go out and kill these people, and these people should be executed for disagreeing with me and this and that, and if they don't like, and you have people that will respond to that, like like January 6th. They will respond to that, and you put his life in danger. This is a man who sees all of the needs of his city, and he wants to do something about it. That does not mean that he can't still be whatever religious background that he is. That does not mean that he's not the right color, because the difference between him and Obama is Obama was considered a monkey, and they called him a monkey and all of this stuff. So they attacked him in a different way, even though at times they of course used his dad as, oh, he doesn't belong here. He's not an American citizen. But Mamdani is so new to this country. I'm talking about him and his family and stuff, that he's an easier target as far as the racial part of, he's a jihadist, and he's a terrorist, and he's a terrorist sympathizer. So they can use his religion and his background for all of that. You couldn't do it as much with Obama. All you could do is be just straight up racist with him. They
tried to with Obama.
They tried with his dad.
His middle name Hussein. You know what I mean? They tried, but they had less leverage with him, even though they tried. But with Mamdani, they've got more leverage to get this terroristic fear in certain groups of people that might respond to that, and that's dangerous. Oh, man. Is there a bromance brewing between him and the president?
Yeah.
When I heard that, I was like, let me tell you something. When you get in office, you have to work to try and get things done. You know what I'm saying? So
cross the aisle.
People might think, oh, he's caving in, but y'all ain't saying out about Trump. Y'all not saying he's caving in, because
I've read more about Trump caving in, so to speak, than I have Mamdani. And I'm not saying that it hasn't, but I've read more about Trump's people, being like, hey.
I've seen that too, where and some specific comment where that was the final draw for some people who are saying they regret the Trump vote. So I was like, okay, when he actually brought up a leader from one of these countries that has actually been responsible for deaths, and when he mocked disabled, and when he's done, he raped
like
women.
Those weren't enough.
Those are not, like the line.
They're not canceling out issues.
Yeah, the thing that made some of them regret their vote for Trump was the fact that he had a polite meeting with Mamdani.
Right.
And the thing is, people have to understand, Trump sways to whoever tickles his ear last.
Oh yeah.
So all you got to do is go in the room and make a suggestion, and he's jumping on it. Oh, that's a great idea, because he has none.
Yeah, some flatter, and that's it. Right?
That's all you got to do. And Mamdani said, I'm gonna go in there and flip him, like a pancake, and he did. I mean, but and then somebody else will get in his ear and flip him back. He's just a tennis ball. He gets hit back and forth because he has no train of thought for himself to deal with all that's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? He just wants to build another Taj Mahal or something, Trump Tower or something. That's what he wants. Reality show in the White House. So I don't think he has any interest in running the country. I just think he just wants to be the next king. Like you said, he wants to bring kingism back to America.
It's the power.
It's the power.
Power is seductive.
And he wants to be loved. Oh gosh.
He wants to be worshipped.
He wants everything Daddy.
That's a scary thing.
He wants everything Daddy.
That's being God-like. You want to be a God, right?
Yes.
That's why Satan was thrown out of heaven. Right?
I.
And nobody gets worship but God. Yeah. Ooh, that's so uncomfortable.
That's just.
Oh, well, ladies, our time that went by quickly. It's 9:02.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh my
I know, I
gosh.
know, I know, I know.
Oh my god.
So, well, thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you, Mariana. Thank you, Rosie, for such a dynamic conversation, just
Mm-hmm.
about what's going on in the news, educating people, giving our thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
opinion, and views, which doesn't have to be anybody else's,
Absolutely not.
right? But we're sharing them, and we're sharing them in love, and
Mm-hmm.
just having a thoughtful conversation, which is
Mm-hmm.
how we should do with things. We need to
Mm-hmm.
talk about things and just have thoughtful conversations where everybody can feel comfortable
Right. And having
just
people
sharing.
think for themselves and not
Right.
Hmm.
just lay on the sway of what other people say.
Hmm.
These conversations we have is to make you think about it,
Right.
And hopefully if somebody starts a conversation with you, if you've seen this, you can say, yeah, I was listening to some people this week, and we got to look at it differently. Hopefully we'll, encourage you to embrace the uncomfortable conversation and try and have a decent conversation with people to embrace each other, and maybe look at it from their perspective instead of always
Hmm.
from yours.
Right,
Absolutely.
because we want to grow. We don't
Absolutely.
want to just stay um
Stagnant.
exactly and just in our own bubbles and cocoons where we don't learn anything because we never reach out,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know. So yeah. So thank you ladies for doing such a wonderful job and being able to share,
And
what you share and your perspective, your lived experience and all of that. So we put it all together and it's a wonderful show.
yes, and thank you for taking the initiative to restart the show, because I
Yes.
think we really missed it. We missed this
Hmm.
conversation.
Yeah, I missed it too.
Hmm.
And considering what's going on in the state of
Hmm.
the world, but specifically the United States, we got to talk about it.
We got to, because
We got to talk about it.
people
Yeah.
need the break. They
Mhm.
need.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like I think when fear takes hold, sometimes people
Yeah.
forget their rights, right?
Hmm.
Even though we might not have as much power individually, collectively we do.
Right,
Absolutely.
right, right,
Absolutely,
right.
Mariana. Great point. Great point.
That is great. Yeah.
So we'll be back in 2 weeks, which is the 15th of December. And then on the 29th, we'll be back as well. And on the 29th, we're having an attorney on who specializes in, excuse me, immigration law. So you definitely want to be here for that so she can update us on all things immigration, what's going on locally and in the country, laws that you need to know about, just things that are going on that you need to be aware of, and things that you need to have on your person in case you may be stopped. And when you're traveling, just a whole bunch of things that we all, when I say all, I mean all,
All.
it's not just people coming over the border. We all, are
Hmm.
people of color need to know. And even people, not people of color, because, there are people of color who look white,
Hmm.
right? And that's it. We don't know. So
Hmm.
people are stopped. Mariana, you can be stopped. You have an accent, right? So prove yourself first. You know what I mean? And we're going to lock you up. Then you prove it. Well,
Hmm.
that's trauma right there. And you're a
Hmm.
United States citizen because
Hmm.
I had an accent.
Hmm.
What? So all these things that we need to know about and the rights that we have as American citizens.
Yes,
And
that's
then
gonna be a
how
great
to, if you're
show.
not a citizen, the process to become a citizen. So you can know what you need to do so you can be legal. So join us then on the 29th, but also too on the 15th, we'll be back. And for another live episode of Race Matters, the safe place
Yes, yes,
to have the hard conversation because we
yes,
do it in love.
yes, yes.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you guys so much for
everyone.
joining us. We love you.
Thank you. Have a
Shalom.
great week.
Yes.